Wolfgang Iser introduced his reader response theories in 1970 lecture titled The Affective Structure of the Text, followed by two key works, The Implied Reader and The Act of Reading. In The Implied Reader, after analyzing several English novels, Iser explains his approach in a section called The Reading Process, a phenomenological approach. He emphasizes that understanding a literary work involves not just the text itself, but also the reader's response to it. Iser describes a literary work as having two aspects: the artistic aspect, which is the text created by the author, and the aesthetic aspect, which is the interpretation realized by the reader. He suggests that the essence of the literary work lies somewhere between these two aspects, emerging only when the text and reader intersect. Iser highlights the active and creative nature of reading, noting that readers bring text to life by engaging with the dynamic elements. He explains that texts intentionally leave gaps or implications, allowing readers to actively interpret and fill in these gaps using their imagination. However, he acknowledges that not all interpretations are valid, as texts employ various techniques to guide readers while still leaving room for interpretation. In The Act of Reading, Iser expands on his concept of the implied reader. He observes that when critics discuss literature's effects, they refer to two types of readers: the real reader and the hypothetical reader. The real reader is an actual individual whose response can be observed, while the hypothetical reader represents all possible interpretations of the text. Iser finds limitations in both concepts, as reconstructing real readers' responses is challenging, and the hypothetical reader is often a construct of the critic's imagination. Iser examines newer reader models that aim to move beyond traditional restrictive views. Refartre's super reader, Stanley Fischer's informed reader, Erwin Woolf's intended reader, and Norman Holland and Simon Lesser's psychological reader. However, Iser finds limitations in all these models and introduces his concept of the implied reader to address these shortcomings. According to Iser, the implied reader is not tied to any specific context, but is instead a construct derived from the text itself. This implied reader is envisioned as a network of structures within the text that anticipate the reader's presence and guide their interpretation. In a novel, these structures include perspectives from the narrator, characters, plot, and even a fictitious reader. The meaning of the text emerges from the interplay of these perspectives during the reading process. Iser also suggests that the concept of the implied reader helps explain the tension readers experience between their own subjectivity and the author's perspective, which influences their understanding of the text. Iser aims to shift critical focus from the text to the reader's experience, emphasizing the individual acts of reading.